know a property is about to begin foreclosing proceedings, that's a huge opportunity. Properties that are beginning foreclosure proceedings that have equity in them in the zip codes that I want to invest in. Bankruptcy. Homeowner. Homeowner. Now, let's back that up. The question is, who are you negotiating with? Now, if I was to tell you the strategy that most people tell you, oh, you're going to negotiate with the homeowner. But I'm going to tell you the advanced strategy, you can go to the bank and negotiate the note.
With the homeowner's consent or no?
You don't need the homeowner's consent. When you're buying the note from the bank is the actual vessel that owns that property. When you buy the note, you don't need a homeowner's consent. You talk to the bank, buy the note for pennies on the dollars, and then you can either begin the foreclosing procedure and get that property. Or, as he just mentioned, you could do a modification. Question is, could you wholesale those deals? Absolutely, you could. A wholesale deal is nothing more than a deal that will meet the guidelines of your end buyer. So yes, you can wholesale any deal as long as you have a list or buyer's list that's willing to buy it.
Is there things you can say to the banks that give you a better chance of actually negotiating the deal?
First of all, I'm going to tell you, and I've done this before, it's not an easy thing to do to get the bank to say yes. It is not an easy thing to do to get the bank to say yes. The bank that will say yes more than likely is one of your small banks, savings and loans, credit unions, and so on. When you're dealing with major big institutions such as Bank of America, to buy one note ain't going to mean a thing to them. So that's the key part to that strategy, knowing who you're dealing with. But when you're dealing with your savings and loans, your credit unions and so on, yes can happen. As a matter of fact, years ago, there's a man in this room that I sold a yes negotiation with a bank from, who in this room right here. Ray Johnson, the deal you had on by Gay Street. Sterling. That was a deal that I got off from the bank, negotiating it, and it was a small bank. Buying a note from the bank. So, yes, you can do it. But it's not something that will happen all the time. Those are 4 what I like to call targeted marketing strategies. Now, once again, you can get success by just doing marketing to absent owners. But it's going to be a hurdle, and it's going to take time. Just realize that. Leads. Man, there's a lot of ways to get leads. A huge amount of ways to get leads. We talked about 4 of them already. We talked about absentee owners. We talked about expired listings. We talked about eviction notices. We also talked about Craigslist marketing. We also talked about bankruptcies. That's 5 different ways right there. The easiest way that you guys are going to be able to maneuver around the lead field is base your leads on your actual cash flow. You have to do deals. Everything you do in marketing should be something that is verifiable, checked, and balanced. So, this is something you need in your system. I don't care if it's a written system, if it's paper, if it's an Excel spreadsheet, if it's a Podio work system. But you need to know every week of every month how many pieces of mail you sent out, how many people you've talked to, how many deals you closed, and how much it cost you. Because if you don't know your numbers, you don't have a business, you have a hobby. Absolutely. You need to know exactly every piece of mail you send out. Every piece of marketing strategy that you use for this marketing. How much it cost you to send out the mails. How many calls you got from each marketing strategy. And how many deals you resulted from those calls. And if you do that, you will stay in line with your spending. Because you'll be able to identify what marketing is working and what marketing isn't. Where you're throwing money away and where you're seeing success. And that's the first solution for determining where the problem lies. If I send or spend $1,500 on absentee owners, and in the last 3 months I got 2 deals from absentee owners, I'm going to look at that strategy and say, I spent $1,500 a month for a total of $3,000. I got 2 calls from those deals. Yeah, maybe I did make $5,000, but it cost me $3,000 to make $5,000. That's not a good use of my money. What is a good use? 3 to 5 to 10 times the amount of your marketing. If you're spending $1,000, I better be making 10. That's the key. When you know where the dollars are being spent, you will stay in business a lot longer. When you're saying, well, I think I got 3 deals from absentee owners I got 3 calls from them, and I sent out, I think, 60 letters, and I got 15. I had one guy, true story, that I worked with in Detroit. And Steve got, I kid you not, 135 calls in 1 month. I'm working with Anna. When he got these calls, I wasn't working with him. He closed 0 deals. 0. And the first thing he asked me, what the heck is going on here? Real estate don't work. So I can get the phone to ring for you, but if you don't have the knowledge to close the deal, it's not going to work. The basic strategy of analyzing a deal that everyone knows is what? Say it again. Mail is the basic strategy. What most people don't know, mail doesn't work on properties that's $250,000 or more. Now why? Because who's to say a rehabber won't be happy with $85,000? Well, mail says that I need to buy it at this number so that the rehabber can make $95,000, but I'm only going to make $5,000. Well, come on. Tools are meant to be used, but tools are not meant to use you. So in other words, look at them, use them, but then this is where your team comes into play. Where myself, where the Rons, where the people in the room that are doing deals, where the actual working with people and talking to people and saying, how is this affecting my bottom line if I use this strategy? So going back to Steve, I said, well, Steve, the problem is that out of those calls you made or those calls you received, the process you had in place was not there in place for you to analyze the deals. So what we did was we put together what's called a seller questionnaire. The seller questionnaire is based off of the 10 questions you should ask every seller who calls you so that you can analyze the deal and decide which bucket it goes in. Is it a wholesale deal? Is this a buy and hold deal? Is this a rehab flip deal? Is this a subject to deal? Or is this a deal where I'm taking over payments and I'm trying to do some type of structured financing? The seller questionnaire tells you that. Bonus number 2. Send me an email, I'll send you the seller questionnaire. Now, it tells you, and it asks you to ask the seller for particular information, 5 pieces of information that I can use to analyze any deal. Mr. Seller, how much do you owe on your property? Well, I owe $100,000. Mr. Seller, how much a property is selling for in the area? $110,000. Mr. Seller, how much do you want for your property? $100,000. What did the seller just tell you? Say it again. I'm going to ask one question at a time. Anybody?
So you might be going to do a housing
Right. The key point is the seller just told you how to buy the property, first of all. The seller also told you that profit doesn't matter. He just wants someone to take over this situation if you can convince him why he should do it. So when I get a deal like that, the first thing I'm trying to figure out, remember, we got $100,000 owed on the property. We got a property valued at $110,000, and the seller wants $100,000. First thing I want to know is, how much is the mortgage payment? Oh, the mortgage payment is $685 a month. Okay. And next thing I want to know is the property occupied or vacant? No, the property is vacant. Mr. Seller, okay, how long has the property been vacant? 4 months. I just can't rent this property. Bam! I got that property. Mr. Seller, here's what I can do for you. I can guarantee you $650 a month with a $100 increase each month for a total of $750 per month for the next year, guaranteed rent, whether your property is vacant or occupied. Will that work for you? Oh yeah, it worked for me. I'm giving the seller $750 a month, guaranteed, whether the property is vacant or occupied. Property needs very little work. What I'm going to do, I'm going to put that property, I'm going to put 4 rooms in there, and I'm going to rent it out for $2,200 a month. Yes. $125 to $150 per week, per room. So I just did what is called building force equity, the highest and best use. I just took a $750 rental and made it into a $2,200 a month cash flow machine. Why? Because the seller just wanted to get away from the property, and I knew a way to structure it so it would be a win-win for both of us. That's what the seller questionnaire does for you. It tells you how to buy the property through which strategies work best. And this is what I'm going to tell each and every one of you guys. I will buy any deal you have if you use my seller questionnaire to present it from me. If it's a good deal that I'm going to buy, I will buy it. But I ask that you use the seller questionnaire because it allows me to look at a deal and say it fits in the wholesale, it fits in the rehab, it fits in the subject to, it fits in the tenant placement.
Well, this might be a little bit off topic, but do you have a questionnaire sheet that you can use when you call someone on the phone to ask them for a hard money lender or someone hard money, or what's a script that you can use for that?
A script that you can use to ask, to talk to a hard money lender to see if they're interested in lending you money. Well, first of all, if they're a hard money lender, they are interested in lending you money because they're hard money lenders. The question is, can you qualify based on their terms? Because some hard money lenders are centric in regards to you having skin in the game. Skin in the game, meaning that you have some money to put into the actual transaction. And some hard money lenders are more centric into your experience. So there's 2 different types of hard money lender when we're talking about there. Send me an email. I'll give you guys my top 3 hard money lenders.
Everybody here might not know and understand.
Yeah, good question.
The reason why you do rooms for rent versus just renting property out. Can you hear that a little bit?
Yeah, great question. Ron said, why rooms for rent? Because I like cash flow. No. But the real reason is, when I look at a property, I think and dissect it into 5 different avenues. A house is built around amortization, tax benefit, cash flow, appreciation, and depreciation. Every deal is built in those 5 different avenues. And I'm looking at that deal and seeing exactly where does it fall in. Highest and best use just means that I'm looking at the deal and I'm saying, where can I make my end dollar amount? And why do I like rooms for rent? It's because it gives me the maximum amount of cash flow. Now, rooms for rent won't work in every area. When I'm in what you would call a $1 million neighborhood, it's not going to work. When I'm in a $500,000 neighborhood, it's not going to work. But in your average, medium to low income area in Baltimore City, Baltimore County, it will work all day long. And that's what I'm going to do if the situation tells me to. Example, we did a deal off of Hilton Road near Morgan University. The seller questionnaire said, this is the perfect deal for subject to. What is subject to? taking over somebody's mortgage payment until you're able to sell the house. So we took over the property subject to. We paid the homeowner $5,000. Tip number 3, listen twice as much as you speak. The homeowner told us that they needed money to go to Jamaica. That money equaled to about $4,000. So we structured the deal by giving the homeowner $5,000 and taking over their mortgage payment, rehabbing the house, selling the house 4 months later, making $47,000 on the sale, just by taking over the mortgage payment, listening to what the seller's saying, not having to get a loan to buy the house because the house was already there in her name. So we just took over the payment, purchased the property subject to, and sold it 4 months later. So listen twice as much, because more often than not, the seller will tell you how to buy their house if you just listen. So the lesson learned on this is that there's a deal to be made on almost every transaction. The only way you don't see the deal is because the tools haven't been revealed to you. In other words, those tools are not in your toolkit yet. The tool that's in your toolkit right now is wholesaling. So the obvious way to do a deal would be wholesaling. As you get in this business, you're going to add subject tools to that toolkit. You're going to add rehabbing to that toolkit. You're going to add landlording to that toolkit. You're going to add all these other strategies, because this is a revolving door business that requires you to continually educate yourself if you want to do that. I know a lot of investors that don't want to make this a situation where it's a generational wealth thing. They just want an extra $5,000 to $10,000 on top of their income every 4 months. So they may only do 1 rehab a year or 3 wholesale deals a year. The luxury of this business is that you are paid by thought, not by your actions alone. You can say, this month I'm going to make $5,000, and I know that in order for me to make $5,000, I need to get 1,000 mail pieces out, because every 1,000 mail piece is going to give me 1 deal to 3.5 deals. The average deal is going to be $3,000. So I know that with that mindset that I can take my business, my life to that level. All I have to do is identify what's the best process for me. Okay. Karen is asking about what's the best mail pieces to use, or how marketing strategies you use. We use both yellow letters, postcards, and regular direct mail pieces, what you call your typical business style letters. We do them all. The highest conversion rate of any direct mail marketing campaign you do will by far be the yellow letter. The exception to that is when you're dealing with price points of $250,000 or more. If you're dealing with $1 million homes, you better not send a yellow letter. $500,000 homes, no yellow letter. It better be business, direct. I keep forgetting it. Yeah. A yellow letter is nothing more, can I hold your pad for a second? Than a letter off of 1 sheet of pad with your direct mail number or information on it. Now, the great part about it, you can have this automated or you can do it by hand. There's a company called Apple Press here in Maryland, actually in Ritchie Highway, where you can actually buy sheets of yellow letters just like this on a notepad, already written out in handwritten font already. All you do is put in the telephone, put in the address and the name. So, Apple Press. And it's something like for every 2,500, it's $195. So you can get 2,500 yellow letters already pre-written for $125. All you're doing is putting in the seller's name and the seller's address, and it looked like the whole letter was handwritten. That's going to give you the highest open rate from any particular mail piece that I've ever tested. $2,500 for 195. Apple Press. Ritchie Highway. No, that's not including the postage or the envelope. The good part about Apple Press too is this. They will even write the letter for you. If you go up there and talk to a lady up there and say, here's what I want in the letter, could you write this for me? You have to kick her a little bit something extra. But they'll even write it for you at Apple Press. And now why do I like this? In direct mail, typically you're looking at a 0.5 to a 3.5% open rate. Typically, when you're talking about direct mail. With the yellow letter, you're looking at anywhere between 10 and 16% open rate with a yellow letter. Why? It's because of the whole yellow letter system. And this is going a little bit into marketing. This is the whole yellow letter system. And in fact, I'm going to include a yellow letter system in the bonuses I'll send to you. The yellow letter system is this in a nutshell. You use a yellow letter folded up inside of an invitational style envelope, preferably different colors, blue envelope, a yellow envelope, green envelope, yada, 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 with a vanity stamp, such as Snoopy, Presidents of America, whatever you want, and the address handwritten on the front of the letter, and just the return name handwritten on the back flap. That's pretty much the yellow letter. An invitation style envelope with your marketing piece folded up in it, with the actual back slap of the marketing piece tucked in, not sealed, with your name on the back of the back flap, and the person's address on the front of the letter, along with a vanity stamp. That will give you the highest open rate of any mail piece you will do when you're talking about the medium to low income real estate investment sellers. A vanity stamp is like stamps like Snoopy, Presidents of the United States, and so on. Now, why is this so important, or why does this give you a higher conversion rate? I'll tell you why. Because it's meant to build curiosity. It doesn't look like a business envelope. It looks like an inviting piece of invitation. And then when they open it up, you're hitting them with your message in regards to wanting to buy their property or so on. Yes?
So there's no return address?
No. I usually just put the actual name of my name on the back.
But Charles, you wanted to skip trace those ones that were
Go ahead.
returned. How do you get to do that if you don't put a return address?
When you say, if I wanted to skip trace the ones...
If your return address is on, you get the
Right.
address can't be forwarded, so you can skip trace those owners. But if you're not doing any address at all, how do you...
I'm not skip tracing.
You're just done with that?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm not. Most of the time, a letter that's undeliverable is a letter that's going to stay undeliverable. The person is no longer living there. Now, I do have a skip trace system when I am doing marketing that is putting the actual return address on them. Have you guys been to realdealmeetup.com? Have you seen the skip trace system I put in there? Man, there's a complete system of how you find vacant property owners. Right there. Now, this is a detailed cheat sheet that we use to find vacant property owners. 7 steps. Any vacant property owner. The last part of this step that you would follow would be hiring a skip tracer. But there are 6 other things that you can do before you need to hire a skip tracer. And that's what it shows you right there on the Real Deal Meetup website. Now, there's a site out there, guys, that, and this is getting a little bit off subject, but I love the subject of vacant properties. It's called PIPL. PIPL will allow you to search for your vacant property owners on all the various networks, as well as try to find their phone number and so on. And it's free. So I could put in Ray Johnson's name. Ray lives in Baltimore, but he no longer is living in that property that he owns on Allendale. And I can look for his name, and find relatives that may be associated with him, next door neighbors that I could call to see if they know where Ray is at, or I could find Ray's latest Facebook post or Twitter tweet. PIPL.com. Let's pull it up for you. Absolutely. Stand up, my friend. So, that's why the internet is a beast. Because stop thinking in terms of how do you usually find people. The person that moved out of the house, they didn't move their Facebook account. They didn't stop commenting on Facebook or sending out tweets. And that's how you find that seller that you can't find for that vacant property. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes.
So, you said the yellow letter I did not,
Mm-hmm.
but you didn't get those far. And how many times did you want to send the yellow letter?
The question is, Charles, if I send out a yellow letter and I don't have any responses, how many times should I send out, do the next yellow letter campaign to the same list? I'm going to tell you right now, there's 3 variables with every marketing campaign. If you don't get a response, there's only 3 reasons why. 1, the list is bad. 2, the actual marketing piece that you've used is bad. 3, the main reason is the actual campaign itself was not a good campaign to do. So there's only 3 reasons why you wouldn't get a lead, or should I say a call from a marketing piece. There's no way in the world, now we're talking, I like to do per 1,000. If I'm sending out 1,000 mail pieces and I don't get a single call, I'm not sending out that mail piece again until I find out what went wrong. And more than likely, it's the list. It was a bad list. That's why a lot of people use list source. A lot of people use Melissa data. I will tell you, find other sources, because the same sources that you're using, everybody else is using. And you're going to be caught up in the inertia of 500 people using list source, and they're all doing the same campaigns because they're all doing list source lists. And this is the thing about SRDS that I like. There's such thing as what's called a hot list. A hot list is a list that has been completely, or that is being continually updated. You don't have any indication of how hot any list you have when you use the different services, like Melissa Data and List Source. You don't know how hot that list is. And SRDS, it tells you this list was just updated 30 days ago. This list was just updated 2 weeks ago. So now I can say, okay, maybe I'm getting new information as opposed to other people. Any other questions so far? Absolutely. You can ask as many as you like. Go ahead. Then you can't ask any. Go.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay, so the challenge I have is when I have a seller and they have tenants in the house, and I cannot figure out how to get my potential buyers in the house, still letting the seller feel like I'm the purchaser. How do I work around the tenant situation?
And you're the wholesaler?
I am the wholesaler.
Yeah. The hardest, you can work around it though. The hardest strategy to wholesale is a property that's occupied. Now, can you work around it? Absolutely. It's called cash for keys, or variation of cash for keys. And what I mean by that, I can go to that person who is in that property and say, hey, John, here's what we're looking to do. We're going to go ahead and try to get this property sold for the seller, because my team is going to be coming in here back and forth throughout the next couple of weeks. To have the luxury to give me the freedom to come and go, would $50 work for you?
So just kind of give them some money to allow these buyers to come in unbeknownst to the seller?
Unbeknownst, that's the only way you're going to wholesale a deal when you're talking about wholesaling a deal that you're trying to wholesale. Does it have to be unbeknownst to the seller? No. You can have the seller full disclosure. We wholesale deals by telling the seller that we're going to market the property to our rest of our buyers.
And you tell them that.
Then you're not doing it unbeknownst to the seller. You have a contract on the property. Here's a real estate law 101. When you have a contract on the property, you have what's called an equitable interest in the property. What does that mean? Equitable interests give you the right to sell that property. If your contract states with the owner that I'm going to have people come into the property to view the property for marketing reasons, you do not have to call that seller up every time you take somebody in the property. What you have to do is make those tenants happy. And how do you make those tenants happy? By compensating them for the inconvenience. Now, can you talk to them and say, hey, I would love to work with you on this. Do you mind if over the next week I'm going to be bringing people to the house? Do you mind letting them in? How do you get people to do what you want them to do? You icing the cake. You can ask that without icing the cake. I always believe in the path of least resistance. Is it worth $50 to make $10,000? There you go. That's the key. Talk to that seller, those people in that property, but first make sure that you have that in your contract that allows you to market the property. And now, here's another way in which you can market the property without saying marketing property. You can say, Mr. Seller, in my contract, and you're not telling this to the seller, but it's actually in the contract, me, the buyer, has the right to actually market, has the right to show the property to my partners in order to continue through the process of the closing. Is it the people that's buying the property your partners? Because you're going to be buying the property using them as the buyers. It's not defined as who is your partners. One of the bonuses you guys are going to get, and this is a huge one, I'm going to give you my top 50 contingencies you can use in contracts. And it's just not residential, it's also multifamily and commercial contracts that you can use to add value to deals. You can call escape clauses, and not all of them are escape clauses. Some of them are, and this is a huge one, the right to subordinate a mortgage. The right to subordinate a mortgage. The example, when I'm doing owner financing, I may get an owner that says, I'll do owner financing, but only if you put my mortgage on the first position on this property. I don't want to do that. I want to use that property to pull the cash out and sell it and then pay off the owner when I want to. I give an example of how this would work. And we get into an advanced strategy now, but I know you may want to hear this. The property is owner financed. The owner is willing to give you $80,000, willing to sell the property for $100,000. The property is in great condition, but the owner is just basically needs about $5,000, $10,000 worth of work in order to sell the property. They don't have the money to do it. So what they'll do with you is you can set up an owner finance deal. I'll give you $10,000 down, and I will owner finance the next dollar amount for 5 years, because the seller really just only needed X amount of dollars for their deal. They only needed $10,000. But they were willing to do owner financing for 5 years. And in 5 years, I'm going to sell your property, give you your $100,000 or whatever dollar amount I want. Now, the property is worth $160,000. What can I do with that property? I can give them $10,000, structure the deal for $100,000, paid off in a balloon in 5 years. The only problem is the seller wants the property secured with their mortgage for the owner financing for $100,000. So I do what's called a substitution of collateral, where I tell the seller, I have no problem with doing that, but I would like to put that collateral on one of my other properties that I own. So I will put your property, your mortgage, on the first position on another property I own. Yes, you can do that, Mr. Buyer. I then take Mr. Seller's property and sell it. Make $100,000, $150,000 to be exact, that I can use for free for 5 years. I just gained $150,000 that I can use for 5 years without having to pay back. What I just got, a zero interest loan with a cash return that is infinite. I'm mad. That's what we're talking about when we get into advanced strategies, marketing and stuff. Advanced strategies of owner financing. Let's talk about team building. Team building. My whole business is built around VAs. VAs is the livelihood of my business. And this is my business model. It's me, it's Holly, and the rest of my VA team. Holly is my project manager. Her job is to interview, hire, and work the marketing strategies that the mad scientists come up with. So she implements everything that comes in my head and disseminates it down to the team to execute. That's how I work with VAs. That's how I work in my business. The key to my success is the fact that I'm the closer. Everything is built around me talking to people. Huh? Holly is in Ohio. My team, India, Philippines, Canada, United States, London. That's pretty much where they all are. So when I say, call me, I'll talk to you, that's because that's all I do. Every Monday and Friday, I go over with Holly what issues or problems we're having in the systems that need to be done. I have 2 key systems to run my business. My real estate system is Podio. P-O-D-I-O. Many of you guys have heard me talk about it. Podio is the system that we're using right now to do deals in 5 different states. Ohio, Memphis, Washington, D.C., Tampa, Florida. And we're also doing, of course, Baltimore. Now, the only thing about Baltimore is I try to stay out of the, what you would call the, what's the best word I'm going to use on this? No, I'm going to say undesirable. I try to stay out of the, not the war zone, because we're going in a different direction. The game of marketing my sites in Baltimore. Why? Because a lot of my clients come from Baltimore. And it'll be a direct conflict. So what I do in Baltimore is mainly joint venture. Because I get a lot of people that we work with, and they'll say, I want you to rank my website. I want you to get me leads online. I want you to do this. And they're not going to look highly on me if I'm ranking my site and doing the same thing that I'm supposed to be doing for them. So we stay out of Baltimore with the rankings of the websites and stuff like that for my business. But that's what we do with all the clients that we work with in Baltimore. This is it in a nutshell. On Mondays, we're going over exactly what is entailed for that week, what hiccups we had last week. On Friday, we're going over what hiccups we had during the week and what we're going to work on next week. That's it. The 2 systems I mentioned, one of them is Podio. The other one is a system that my programmer designed. It was about $15,000 to design it, and it runs my marketing company. And that's really it's not real estate related, so I don't want to go too far into that system, but it's a beast.
Do you use the same VAs for that?
Yes. Because that's the key with the VAs. You want to make sure your VAs, because we're talking, a lot of this we're talking with marketing, and a lot of it we're talking with in regards to cold calling and so on. Real estate business. A lot of people don't know that I have a marketing company called Page One Success. And we work with a lot of clients all around the country with their marketing, work with the gurus doing packages and designs and all that kind of stuff for the website and all that kind of stuff. That's my marketing company. My real estate company is Chucky Buy Yucky Houses and Real Deal Meetup. So that's the real estate side of it. Podio and stuff runs the real estate side. The marketing system runs the Page One Success system. My VAs are workers. The only exception to that is the 5 that are not what you would call on salary. So normally my VAs are ones that are on salary, and I have about 5 of them that are on as per call basis when stuff gets to real heavy. How do you set up your business? Let's talk about that. Working with VAs. It can be daunting, it can be tough, but there are systems or there's companies in place that can mitigate the issues you have. For example, one of the companies out there is Elance. Elance.com. Another one is Odesk. The third one is Get a Freelancer. And one that I like to call a micro VA site is Fiverr. Fiverr.com. Yes, Fiverr? Okay, Fiverr, Fiverr.com. Let me tell you the difference between the first 3 and the fourth one. The first 3 are true, what you would call virtual assistant hiring companies, where they give you reviews of the people you want to hire. They give you actual check and balances in place so that you don't get burnt working with the people that's in other countries, such as you only pay X amount of dollars up front and then you only pay the remaining balance when the work is done, so on and so on. So there's a lot of check and balances on those type of companies, like the Elance, like a Get a Freelancer, like the Odesk. But when you're dealing with something like a micro VA company like Fiverr, there's a little bit of check and balances in place, but Fiverr can be a great thing for what you call micro tasks. For example, when money is poor, you're just starting out in this business, you need a logo design. Don't call my company up. Money is poor, go ahead and contact Fiverr and get one done for $5, $10. Good is good enough when you're first starting out. If you need a short video done to tell your sellers about your business, go to Fiverr, get one done for $10. We buy houses. If you need a press release written to announce to the world about the services that you offer, go to Fiverr, get one done for $5. These are micro things that you can get done through Fiverr. Now, the reason why I say I like Fiverr for the micro things, because you're getting them at what I like to call the low to medium level expertise level. That's all you need when you're first starting out. You don't need to have a Rolls Royce when a Chevrolet, whatever, would work when you're first starting out. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There's a couple of strategies that the question is, where do you put it? One would be on your website. One would be on a marketing campaign if you're doing Facebook ads. One could be a link on Craigslist if you're doing Craigslist marketing. Another way in which you could use it would be on YouTube. I'll give you an example. I average somewhere between 1,000 video views a month for my YouTube channel. No. YouTube is free. So if I was to go in here, and I love YouTube for leads, guys, I'll tell you that right now. Now, it can be extremely daunting to do videos. So I'm not telling you to do them yourself, because you can hire somebody to do a video for you for $5. The key is just marketing that video on the sites that's going to make sense for you, like Facebook and so on. I'm probably explaining it as if it's easy, and I don't mean to do that because it's not easy by any. Yeah, so I'm gonna tell you right now. Yeah, it's a long email address. I'm ashamed to show you my email account. I got like 44,000 emails in them. Now you just made me forget my password.
Talk about encryption.
Now, the reason why I had to do the encryption, because I had this little thing right here turned off. That's called lead passes. I have memberships to I don't know how many sites, maybe 80, 90 sites on the internet. If that was turned on, if that was red, it would automatically log me in. Lead passes is free. It's called leadpass.com. L-E-A-D pass.com. You don't have to remember another password for the rest of your life. Anytime you go to a site, it will log you in automatically if you're a member of that site. And it's free to use. It's called leadpass.com. But I didn't have it turned on. That's why I wouldn't let me in. So you can assign each Gmail account with a different lead pass thing. You can actually program the lead pass for what Gmail account is for. See, last month I got over 42,000 views on my videos. 1,086 in the last 30 days. And these are, now, you gotta realize, I got almost 200 videos online.
So is that a YouTube account?
That's my YouTube account.
Oh,
Yeah, that's my YouTube account. Whenever I work with people, whether I show you guys stuff, I try to show you stuff that I'm actually doing, not a matter of theory. So that's why when I started this whole thing up, I started with people that would say you stuff don't work, is because they don't know how to make it work. So in other words, the easiest thing for a person to say is it don't work instead of I don't know. They would rather tell you it don't work because they would rather not say I don't know. So, back in regards to your systems, my VAs do all kinds of tasks. They will do a slide-out phone call. They will call individuals up in regards to the seller questionnaire. They will design a landing page or lead page or squeeze page so that we can get leads online from Facebook and so on. They will build a website out. They will build logos out. They will create complete funnels or create products for the different gurus that we work for who want us to create programs and systems for them. So they do all the work. My job, and it's going to be your job if you guys so choose to take it, is to direct them. So you have two approaches for your business. Either you do the direction or you do the work. Most of the time, the direction is going to be done, but you have to get to the education level where you can direct. So how do you get to the education level so that you can direct? In order so you can do the things you like to do. No. See, no. First of all, there's a lot of information out there for you to learn on realdealmeetup.com based on the stuff that we're doing that's working right now. The other thing is that think about what makes the most money for you in your business. I would venture to say the first thing you need to realize is that you guys are not wholesalers. You're not rehabbers. You're not landlords. For lack of a better word, what each and every one of you are is marketers. You have to adapt that mentality. If you adapt the fact that I'm a marketer first, that is marketing as a wholesaler, rehabber, landlord, then the rest will be a piece of cake. Because once you adapt or wear the hat of a marketer, then it's just a matter of finding people who know what you know or more than what you know to implement the systems. If you have money, I'm going to give you two approaches. If you have money, it's just a matter of hiring them. Hiring the person to do the work if you have money. If you don't have money, it's just a matter of educating yourself. But you have to realize that the time it's taking you to educate yourself is time that's taken away from what? From making money. So it's a double-edged sword. You either learn it to learn how to do it right, or you pay for somebody to do it right. Keep that in mind. I'm going to give it to you like it is. I'm going to give it to you the truth. So when we talk about working with a VA, you don't have to, but understand that when you bring this into your education level, like Brittany did, she decided that she wanted to learn everything she could about search engine optimization. And six months later, she's on the first page of Google, making $30,000 per month in the last 3 months getting leads. Doing it herself. She's got one VA that she hired in the process. But she learned it first, but it took 6 months. So, I'm not telling you to stop what you're doing with the real estate. All I'm doing is telling you to allocate time if you have to add the educational piece to it. And only do the stuff in real estate that is working. Because if you're doing more than what's working, or should I say less than what's working, the final conclusion is going to be real estate doesn't work. Because you're running around in circles doing nothing that makes sense.
Well, I think this,
Go ahead.
if you have people with different gifts, some people are very naturally inclined towards technology.
Right.
Are inclined towards talking on the phone.
Right.
Etc.
Right.
What's to say that individuals cannot team up?
That's where I was about to go. Just like you joint venture with a wholesaler, you joint venture with if you feel as though you're technically challenged. Some of my VAs come from these meetings. They want to learn from me. In turn, I put them to work in my business. I teach them. They help me with my business. It's a trade-off. It's a win-win. Then they get a percentage of the deals that we work on when they're working in my business. So that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm telling you. To think outside the box. For every problem, there's always a solution.
In relation to fiber
Yes.
or VA,
Yes.
what is the most difficult that you expect to be done on fiber?
The question isn't the most difficult task to get done. The question is, at what high quality will the task get done? Because you can get just about every task on Fiverr done. The question is, how high of a quality? Let me give you guys an example. 5 years ago, actually 3 years ago, I hired a guy off of Fiverr to work for me as my program director, as my software developer. We created what's called the CL Spider. I don't know if you got, any guys ever use CL Spider? Brian back there used it. CL Spider was a piece of software I had him develop that would go into Craigslist, pull out all the different real estate stuff in Craigslist, and put that person in it, put that in an Excel spreadsheet so we can send them an email. And it does it on autopilot. Just by clicking a button. I tell the CL Spider, I want you to go into Craigslist and do this. I also had one for SDAT. The SDAT one, this is before the government tried to shut me down. The SDAT one was the software that I had my software developer create that would go into SDAT, search any property that I want, pull the owner's information for a whole zip code and stuff, and allow me to market to that owner through direct mail. The problem was that my computers was being used by so many different people because I gave the software away for free. My computer was being used by so many different people that the Department of Taxation threatened to sue me